What's going on, motivators? We got another video. We got to talk about Mamdani's scam coming to a reality on the grocery store, free grocery stores in New York. Let's get into this.
Then Matt, go ahead.
Can you study impact of any level grocery stores, bodegas, etc.? And can you give an example of like a cucumber costs X, it now will cost Y?
So I can't give you an exact example of the cost of a cucumber in our essentials basket, but what I can tell you is that when New Yorkers come to city-run grocery stores, they will see a clear price differential when it comes to those essentials. And
I mean, if anything, if you know it's going to be a socialist ran grocery store, that should have been something that's innate and established already, right? Oh, yes, the point is going to be if cucumbers cost $1, we're going to make sure it's like 75 cents, something of that sort, or an idea of a price differential, not this bogus, like wishy-washy, we're just going to see something different. For all we know, it could be a 1 cent different.
I'm not sure if you'd like to add anything to that point.
We will have a core basket of goods focused on fresh and everyday groceries, and it will be a fixed discount on sort of what is the average price of that. We haven't determined exactly how it's going to be calculated, but it's going to be a certain percentage. What it's going to allow people to do is it's going to allow them to budget, and it's going to allow to feel a predictability of price.
I don't know. I gave this one video back in Venezuela, where the Venezuelans stated that, oh yes, things are cheaper, but we cannot find what we need. I'm seeing the same scenario happening in there, right?
Equitativa, pues para todos.
Socialismo del siglo XXI.
21st century socialism, a pretty way to say communism. That is all it is. Everyone ends up the same. The rich leave and the middle class becomes poorer.
Se está yendo. ¿Quién queda? La clase media que va para pobre.
Prices.
Bien, es bastante importante.
The government has set up a network of state-operated grocery stores selling goods from nationalized industries at discounted prices.
Bien, es bastante importante.
This store is vital. You can save a lot of money here. The only problem is that sometimes you cannot find what you need.
A veces no consigue la comida completa.
Again, this stuff is going to taunt New York eventually of all the prices that we have.
Price they will be. It's not going to fluctuate with the capital markets. It's going to be fixed throughout the 5 stores.
Have you studied the economic impact on local businesses, if any?
We are confident that this is going to be a critical part of not just the business ecosystem, but also the civic ecosystem across the city. Hi, Liz. How are you?
You're passionate supporter of.
I got a question. Everybody knows that the grocery business is not a business that's really profitable, right? If you really want to make money, no one's venturing in the grocery business, right? You become like, you could go into stocks, you could go into different productions, but grocery is not one of them, which makes you think that the idea of a grocery store and the ones who are successful versus the ones who have failed is like a scalability, right? The people who are running those grocery stores, there's a model that they have used, which makes it that their overhead is enough that they could continue producing. But it's not like a large profit where you could actually gain money from a grocery store. As far as you're going to become like, it's not something you're going to become like a millionaire unless you have multiple big chains, right? So think about that. He's going to start a project. They don't even have full entity as far as knowledge onto what the price structure is going to be. But yet we're supposed to trust this thing. I just showed you a little bit about Venezuela, right? In order for the prices to be sustainable, they had to make manufacturers state-run also. So they took it out from the private sector, made it a government sector, right? Everything went downhill from there. Because certain items that you were pushing, the incentive is not there if it's a local business versus a private business. A private business, the incentive is there to push products out. A government-run business, who knows how it's going to run? Because we know government moves at the speed of definitely not light. Slow speed times, who knows? But I digress. Let's wait to see.
Union labor. I wanted to ask if you're committed to making the jobs at these grocery stores union jobs.
You know, you heard from the Deputy Mayor of Economic Justice that the standards will be union standards at these sites. They will be union standards, and that means that people will be paid the amount of money that they deserve.
Union standards. I hope the union won't be part of this. That would be crazy. A government run and unions part of it too. Whew. New York, New York.
And no, that's not what that means. What it means is these are the amounts of money that the city will be budgeting towards it. And to say anything beyond that is then to preclude ourselves in the contract negotiations with private vendors.
Like the union jobs.
Because we're making them union standard jobs, and then that opens the door to all of that kind of living wage potential.
On topic. All right, Chris and Josie.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. You said this store will open in 2029, and that the first of your grocery stores will open next year. Why is it taking so long? I feel like a bodega opens every other week across New York City.
Wow, that is a very good question. A bodega open across the street like every other week. Just like that, it's down and it's done with, right? You have the government trying to do something for the people. Like I said, it's going to be at a slow pace. It's going to be into the second year of his administration, which is going to have 3 left. Let's hope it's going to be in his second year. We saw Governor Newsom said he was going to build that railroad, right? That bullet train. Where is it at? It still haven't gotten off the ground yet, but a whole bunch of money have been spent on that. Over $100 billion. And there's nothing to show for it.
In every neighborhood. Why take so long to start this issue?
Well, I think for a few reasons. The first is that we are talking about building something from the ground up. We're talking about this city's first city-run grocery store in Manhattan that we need to both design, that we also need to construct. We're also going to be constructing it using prevailing wages.
But we know that they tried in other states already and it failed. We know Kansas City tried it and it failed. What's going to make New York any better? Socialism does not work. We've known that for a fact. Nowhere in this modern age has it worked. And even Chavez, when he tried it 15 years ago, what did he say it would be? 21st century. It's still socialism.
And it's also one part of a larger ecosystem, not just in terms of La Marqueta, but also here on this strip. We've seen the MTA has just completed their work in this very area. This requires a lot of interagency and intergovernmental coordination that we're going to be seeing. The store that will be open next year in 2027 and the additional stores that will be open by the end of 2029 will not require this same scale of production. The reason that we're announcing this is so that we can get started on this.
As we're going through this topic with affordability, and people are like, well, and nothing's going to happen. The conservatives are still going to win. Economy is going to be fine. Mamdani beats everybody in New York City. And he came out. He's a socialist Islamist that came out and he won New York City, financial capital of the world. And then he said he's going to have grocery stores that he's going to build free for folks who are having a hard time and all this other stuff, eggs, the main essential stuff that they're going to do. People still don't know exactly what the system's going to be. And he said for $60 million, we'll be able to build in 5 different boroughs and all this other stuff. And they just launched their first. And the first one's going to cost roughly $30 million, Rob. If you want to pull up the one.
America, I'm not a math genius. In 5 different boroughs, if they were going to build, they had $60 million and they were going to build in 5 different boroughs. That means they would build 10 super grocery stores that was free, plain and simple. If the first one costs $33 million, that means you don't even have money for the second one. And in totality, now you are short 9 grocery stores that you're claiming you were going to get built. So I asked the American people, along with New Yorkers, you have all businesses leaving. You just had 17 grocery stores left, right? The plan was to build 10, $6 million per, and $6 million per area where he was going to build. So that would leave me up with 10. 10 that would be built in 5 different boroughs. If you have 17 leaving, that means you'll still be a shortage of 7 from the 10. But if one of them now costs $33 million and your total cost, right, your budget was $60 million, just say if you get the second one to get built for the $27 million that you have right now, you're short $3 million. Still a deficit of 8 grocery stores from your total amount you were going to build. And subsequently, that would be 7 from the 10 that you were going to build. So if you look at it in totality, you are 15 grocery stores short because 17 left. Make this make sense. I'm telling you, those people who voted for this, and someone corrected me and said it was not overwhelming in the comments. Yes, I'm losing the terminology overwhelming because it was not a presidential election. And he still won by over 200,000 votes. So it was not a landslide, but it was somewhere in there as far as a lot of votes to capture the mayorship. But think of those things in perspective. Those people who voted for this, I want to know when everything start leaving, where you're going to get your groceries from. You may still get a little bodega here and there, but that's like small items, right? Your grocery store, I would like to see those things, and I cannot wait till next year to see if they actually come to fruition or not. Make those things make sense, America. Make it make sense.
Will be treated with dignity. We're going to go one by one, as you can see. There's a lot of interest. When it comes to EDC, we are continuing to conduct those interviews, and also I think what today shows is that the work of EDC is not reliant on concluding those interviews. That work can continue. Proud, frankly, of the immense amount of work coming out of EDC to ensure that we can deliver something the city has not seen before, which is a guarantee that these prices will be affordable.
On-topic questions, Dan.
The issue is standards, and that means that people will be paid the amount of money that they deserve, and it's no, that's not what that means. What it means.
So it looked like all the clanking that we're hearing. Look at this guy with trolling Mamdani at the end, right? Free everything. Free cigarettes, free liquor, free bodegas, right? So free everything. So he was trolling Mamdani the entire time. All right, too funny, too funny. All right, guys, again, what it's going to come down to? New York is going down the toilet drain very quickly. We saw it coming, some didn't. I don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to get saved, but it's left to be seen. We're going to keep covering it. Let me know what you think. All right, motivators, if you enjoy what you've seen and heard, please like, comment, subscribe, and share a Black veteran's perspective. Stay motivated.